In the 1920s, school transportation in rural America was more an act of improvisation than engineering. Many districts simply bought a truck chassis, bolted a wooden cabin on top, and hoped it would survive the school year. These school wagons rattled across dirt roads, leaked in the rain, and, in the event of an accident, could shatter into jagged splinters. For children riding inside, safety was little more than wishful thinking. Albert Luce saw this problem up close. He wasn't an inventor by trade. He was a Ford dealer in Fort Valley, Georgia, selling Model T and TT trucks to farmers, store owners, and occasionally school districts. But each time a district brought in one of these homemade buses for repairs, the pattern repeated: warped wooden frames, rotting panels, broken joints. The southern heat and humidity were merciless, and rural backroads shook these fragile bodies apart in a few short years. One day in 1925, a customer rolled in with a school bus body so badly damaged it was practically falling off the chassis. Luce examined it and realized the issue wasn't just maintenance. The entire concept was flawed. If school transportation was going to be reliable, it needed a body built like a real machine, not a barn on wheels. 2 years later, in 1927, he decided to take matters into his own hands. Using a Ford Model TT truck as the base, Luce built a prototype in his workshop, a steel-framed, metal-sided school bus body. The riveted panels gave it rigidity, the steel resisted rot and warping, and the whole structure could handle the punishing vibrations of rural travel. It wasn't pretty, more utility than style, but it was built to last. That single bus marked the quiet birth of what would become Blue Bird. By 1932, building bus bodies was no longer just a side project. Luce's growing enterprise caught public attention when one unit was painted a deep, vivid blue, a refreshing break from the drab tones of the era. Customers remembered it. The color became a signature. And in 1937, the company officially took the name Blue Bird. But Luce wasn't done changing the industry. Through the 1930s, wood still dominated school bus construction nationwide. It was cheaper, lighter, and familiar, but it was also weak, leaky, and dangerously flammable. Luce refused to settle. In 1937, he introduced one of America's first all-steel school bus bodies. This wasn't just an upgrade, it was a revolution. Steel was harder to work with. It required skilled welders, more complex tooling, and greater upfront costs. But the advantages were undeniable: stronger crash resistance, weatherproof durability, easier cleaning, and the ability to bolt seats, doors, and steps directly into the frame for safety. By the close of the decade, Blue Bird had become synonymous with toughness. Their buses survived where others rattled to pieces. And just as momentum was building, the 1940s brought a new test. World War II. Steel was rationed, production was disrupted, but the lessons learned in those early years, build strong, build safe, would carry Blue Bird through the storm. In 1939, Dr. Frank W. Tier, a professor of rural education at Columbia University, convened a landmark conference to address the chaos of school transportation design. Representatives from every U.S. state, plus bus manufacturers, met in New York to develop national standards. The most famous outcome was the adoption of a single, highly visible color: National School Bus Glossy Yellow. The reasoning was scientific. The particular shade of yellow was easier for human eyes to detect in low light, early morning fog, and peripheral vision. Combined with black lettering for contrast, it made school buses stand out more than any other vehicle on the road. Blue Bird quickly adopted the color, becoming one of the most consistent champions of the new safety standards. Their buses not only turned yellow, but incorporated other recommendations from the conference: standardized dimensions, better lighting, and improved emergency exits. After World War II, the U.S. experienced a population boom. Suburban neighborhoods expanded rapidly, and school enrollment surged. The demand for buses exploded. Blue Bird responded with streamlined production and expanded models, including the 1948 launch of the All-American, a transit-style flat-front bus with a spacious interior and a design that would influence school bus shape for decades. By the 1950s and 60s, the yellow school bus had become a universal sight in America. Bluebird's reputation for durability and safety helped cement their dominance. This was also the era when the brand identity, the chrome Bluebird logo, paired with the bright yellow body, became etched into public memory. By the time the 1970s rolled around, the Bluebird bus wasn't just a mode of transportation. It was a cultural touchstone. For millions of American kids, that bus was part of their daily rhythm. The early morning wait at the corner, the clanging of folding doors, the diesel rumble as it pulled away. Technologically, the 70s and 80s brought big improvements. Diesel engines became the norm, replacing gasoline in most models for better torque, fuel economy, and longevity. Suspension systems were upgraded to handle both city streets and rural gravel roads with less bone-jarring bounce. Heating systems became more efficient, bringing relief to kids enduring frigid winter mornings. Safety continued to be the top priority. Bluebird introduced stronger rollover protection, better emergency exit layouts, and seating designed to absorb impact forces. Higher seat backs, padded interiors, and reinforced body frames became standard. By 1977, federal safety regulations for school buses were among the strictest in the world, and Bluebird was a major contributor to those standards. The flagship All-American model remained a favorite, but the late 80s also saw the introduction of the TC2000, a simpler, more cost-effective design that still met safety standards, but was easier for districts with tighter budgets to afford. Yet for all its engineering advances, the magic of the 70s-80s Bluebird bus wasn't just in its mechanics. It was in the human experiences it carried. Kids passed notes under the seats. They carved their initials into the vinyl with ballpoint pens. They made best friends in those rows, had first crushes, or sat in quiet nerves before a big test. Drivers often became neighborhood fixtures, greeting each child by name and sometimes acting as informal guardians. The design, rounded roof, rectangular windows, unmistakable yellow, became timeless. Even in silhouette, everyone knew it was a school bus. More specifically, many could tell it was a Bluebird. It was the bus that took an entire generation not just to school, but through childhood itself. By the end of the 1980s, Bluebird was no longer just one player in the school bus industry. It was the gold standard. From a single metal-bodied prototype in a Georgia garage to fleets of modern, safe, and reliable buses across all 50 states, Bluebird had become inseparable from the idea of the American school experience.